The different shades of opinions on the rationale and justification of the methods adopted by militants, kidnappers, and petroleum pipeline vandals in the Niger Delta region are analyzed in different ways. For the issues in the Niger Delta region, one of the categories is the feuds, capitalist class, and their numerous cohorts and sympathizers who labeled the perpetrators of the acts as thieves and criminals stealing the resources of the nation. The second perspective, according to Professor Kaba, is another unique form of nationalistic movement designed to draw the attention of the federal government to the long-time neglect and marginalization of the rich region. The militia groups got at its peak and spread across the Niger Delta region in 2008 and 2009 before amnesty was granted by late President Umaru Musa Yar'Adua. The militants under the aegis of Movement for the Emancipation of the Niger Delta MEND posited that because peaceful approach has been treated as irritant, the supreme desire to sustain their lives and livelihood has pushed them into armed struggle. The militants who went in their self-styled names like generals and GOCs began their operations in which pipelines were vandalized, white men kidnapped, even wealthy Nigerians were kidnapped as well, and ransoms were demanded, and in most cases paid for the release of the victims. To an extent, another approach was introduced, which is the local crude oil refineries, popularly known as fire. The consequence of all these is that the environment is often degraded, resulting to the deaths of valuable crops and aquatic lives.
The Niger Delta question is yet to be answered. But the peace we have right now is a fragile one. It's a fragile one that will not last. And you can see we are sitting on a time bomb until some of the issues that triggered us to carry arms are solved. They might have solved part of the problems, but not the major ones. What is the major one? It's resource control. We are not controlling our resources. But what we have now is surveillance. Now, we are sending our security to our pipeline. You understand? So, if you just temporary, it has not solved the problem, the main problem that we are facing all this while.
Whether it was due to equipment failure, operational failure, third-party interference, or an attack by aggrieved parties or militants, the effect on the environment is the same. Aquatic lives, the fauna and the flora will be affected. So, we were not silent even when during the militancy when oil facilities were attacked. We report the ones that we never knew were attacked before we get there. But those ones that are in public domain that were really heavy, we don't visit. We just know that it's not good because of the negative impacts on the environment.
Amnesty now in question is, has it really achieved the purpose for which that amnesty as an intervention medium to stop pipeline vandalism, kidnapping, hostility, and all forms of criminality? Has the amnesty really given to the people of Niger Delta that so-called the benefits of it is the big question. Amnesty has been granted, fine and good. Some few persons, they have made money from it. Some few persons have gotten scholarships to study abroad. Today, we see through amnesty, we see some of these people who never expected that they could be pilots. They are pilots. Some of them are working in the oil multinationals and what have you. That is there. But for me, I think that is just a crumb. The vast totality, the majority of the Niger Delta people, how have they fared? How have they fared is the question. And even to those that are, have accepted or been granted this amnesty, how many of them have been able to also use this? For instance, they give them 65,000 naira stipends monthly. How many of them have been able to use the 65,000 naira? Does it end there? The generals, the ex-warlord, their commanders, through which they are being paid this 65,000. How many of them are giving to their boys the real 65,000? when 65,000 naira is what government says you should pay to your boys. The general will rather choose to give them some 15,000, some 20,000, what pleases him. Then, when you look at all these issues, for some, they send them to kindergarten schools abroad. I know of somebody who they sent to Cyprus, kindergarten school in Cyprus, under the name of amnesty. So what do you expect that man to go and learn there? And he came back frustrated. What did he do? He went back to the creek. He decided to start carrying gun again, to begin to harass people. So in this light, I think the program to an extent became defeated. Selfishness and greed amongst our people also contributed to, the low level of achievement of the program. No matter what anybody says, for me, this amnesty program was just a distraction to us. It would have rather been better for us to still stand on our ground to say resource control. Live vandalism, has it stopped? Till today, as we speak, they are still busting pipe. They are still doing fire. Illegal artisanal refinery is still taking place, even with the coming of Tantita. But relatively, Tantita too has also helped greatly. Why? Because the Tantita, the man in charge of Tantita, General Tompolo, is a man of the creek. He knows they were part and parcel of the people that were busting this pipe. So they know where every one pipe is, where every one manifold is, how people will go and get to the pipe. I was flabbergasted when I saw that somebody can run a pipe from the creek into his house, his compound, where trucks will be coming to load crude oil on a daily basis. Jesus Christ. With the aid of Tantita, this thing was discovered. So Tantita, to an extent, has also helped greatly to increase the production of oil, but it has not stopped vandalism.
Now, the emancipation of Niger Delta struggle all started with dialogue. Before the whole of this come to line up, a lot of dialogue has been exhausted. A lot of that dialogue has been exhausted, and there is no turnout. A lot of places initiate 30%. Before you get to 30% derivation, a lot of things have been put in place to mitigate the whole of this, how we convert anything they perceive as going to lead to the armed struggle. There are in one, with this force were formidable, we're one strength. We build this, we come together and make it that, yes, it is for Niger Delta. Not one ethnicity, not Ijo, not Hirobo, not Isoko, not Ichekiri, not the Kwares, not the Ibibio or any that. It's all strictly Niger Delta struggle. That's why you see the presidential amnesty is tagged with Niger Delta presidential amnesty program.
The choices of the words political economy, of militancy, and the pipeline vandalism in the Niger Delta region, according to some respondents in the Niger Delta region, illustrates how some politicians allegedly employ the service of these militants in achieving their political ambition. Hence, the mismanagement of these men in what started as a peaceful process has now degenerated into a full-scale war against the federal government forces. Their major way of showcasing their might is the regular blow-up of oil pipelines and installations. One major incident that is recorded is the Bonga oil field attack resulting to massive spill. But as time went by, the militants, rather than addressing the genuine demands of better welfare, equality, and justice for the Niger Delta people, derailed to pursuing wealth and personal gains, and any attempt to stop them is vested with strong opposition.
Right. Even before some persons started blowing pipelines, we have been having leakages, spillages. That has caused so many problems to our natural inhabitants of our areas. So we cannot blame it on the vandals alone. So you can see, these are the issues that are yet to be solved. It's not just amnesty. Do what we expect you to do, what you promise us. Until those things are done, leakages and vandalism will still continue. When the people are not well employed, when graduates, they will graduate from universities, they are not well employed. I don't think things like this happens in Saudi Arabia, where they produce oil, or any other place where they produce oil. We have unemployed youths in Niger Delta. These youths, most of them are from pipeline, they are from oil producing areas.
It is unfortunate that the federal government did not listen when Ken Saro-Wiwa was crying as a lone voice. If you read his book, A Month and a Day, you will hear where he was appealing to the international community and friends of Nigeria to please talk to Nigeria to do social justice and environmental justice to the people of the Niger Delta before the curtain falls.
Gradually, the militants deviated from the essence of the struggle, which includes demand for resource control, proper compensation to host communities, cleanup of the environment, and lots more. They instead began the installation of paramount rulers in communities to control the resources in the kingdom. A good example is when Sir S.P. Organ, one time Amayanabo of Okrika, died. To enthrone a new king, the process was hijacked by militia groups, leading to bloodshed. Another example is Iba community in Emohua local government area of River State, when after the death of the paramount ruler J.J. Ohaka, getting a new king later became the battle of supremacy by militia groups, and several other places across almost all parts of the country. In proffering solutions to the issue of militancy in the Niger Delta, amnesty was granted to the militants by late President Yaradua. Anchored on three major methods: amnesty, rehabilitation, and reintegration. The boys were first pardoned, then trained in different areas including as pilots, ship captains, amongst other skills. Despite this, the issues associated with the activities of the militant groups continued unabated. You may also like to know that the pardon was granted the Creek men in 3 phases. They are all on the payroll of the federal government for the 65,000 naira monthly stipends. Yet the region still witness pipeline vandalism, bombing of oil installations, with the recent coming from River State and Tebedaba Flow Station in southern Ijaw local government area of Bayelsa State.
Don't interfere in community activities. But though we have the influence to influence anybody, to do anything, to gain anything that we want to gain. But one thing is, don't do something that is not right. If you know that this thing is right, you have to hold it that this thing is right. But because you know that you have some influence, you want to oppress somebody, that one is not acceptable. Yes. But if you know that this thing that you want to do, or they want to oppress somebody and they don't want to oppress him, you will come out to say, no, this oppression will not stand. This is the truth. So let's stand for the truth, because that truth is the name of Ijaw. It's just stand by truth, and the truth will prevail anything that we do in our lives.
Until finally, amnesty was given by the federal government, the proclamation of the presidential amnesty, Niger Delta presidential amnesty, and we all submit our arms. We submit our arms and see what the federal government does. And in a very good mind that this amnesty was embraced. But the funny part of it, there was no leadership they put together. We that were managing our boys, they did not bring us together and see how we can be able to handle the process. Rather, they bring contractors and they bring those they perceive that is their friend. Most of the organization, the Niger Delta, wasn't having interest. Rather, they criticized the arm, we that were carrying arms in the struggle. But today, they are the people benefited. I will tell you for truth. In presidential amnesty, go and check. Leaders, we face one leader, we are suffering. Nothing to take home. Nothing to write home about. How to survive is by the grace of God.
Political analysts say Nigeria must do away with do-or-die political culture. This, according to them, has resulted in the militarization of politics in some parts of the country.
We that fought for this freedom, we granted amnesty with our own hearts, with our full chest. So this bombers, the bombing of pipeline, vandalization of pipeline, all these things, all these things, I feel they are sponsored by some politicians.
Amnesty failed when they take away the boys then from the leaders. The program, the so-called those who politicize the system. If they want to get it right, they have to bring in the leaders, not political leaders, those who they knew before the declaration of disarmament. They will bring them together and take counsel together.
No doubt, it is not disputed that in Nigeria today, particularly in this side of our region, if you are a strong man, you are a superman, government will recognize you, politicians will recognize you, they will, in our local palace, they will give you your way and even make use of you in time of election to achieve their aim. Most of these ex-generals we see, politicians go to pay them serious homage, huge amount of money because they know they have the boys. Which people are creating the disruption in times of election? Who are the people that will come and shout away, will not go agree, if it is not you, nobody will rule? It is not only in election purposes, even in our communities. For you to be a paramount ruler or a king, you can imagine one ex-armed, amnesty or whatever, ex-militant general is the one to install a king. For some, they have even made themselves king too, in their domain. They have forcefully made themselves king to the extent of government also recognizing that stood and giving them staff of office, which is wrong. How do you look at somebody who has been engaged in crimes and criminality? Fine, he has been granted a state pardon, but that does not mean that there are some sacred positions because of you know him to be a gun runner, a strong man, a killer. Then you are enthroned or you deposit such kind of highly exalted position of a king of a community into the hands of this kind of people. What do you expect? What type of rulership, what type of leadership will the people have? I
want to advise them not to use the opportunity they have to intimidate people, but rather to encourage people and to advise as much people they will advise and give, leadership as much people they can give leadership, because we have become role model today. We are talking about leadership that is positive, leadership that will help people aspire to go higher in education, to go higher in politics, and to become reasonable people in the society.
So government must stop encouraging this kind of activities. For some, they have also been able to help in their community, to assist people in their community. For those of them that are generous, like what the great Tompolo is doing that I see today. But even at that, I will still not support any form of criminality or social vices. So government must stop using them, politicians must stop using them. In communities too, we must avoid these people coming to dictate for us, these people coming to take over.
It's repulsive, it's atrocious, it's repugnant to natural justice, equity, and good conscience. It goes to show how they treat the Niger Delta with contempt and levity. Refusing deliberately, willingly, knowingly, intentionally, refusing to grant licenses in favor of those who have the oil at their backyard is going to generate a recrudescence, a resurgence of militancy.
We have the capacity, we are equal to the task, to have a company and also bring some experts who can join up with our boys to produce this, to run this modular refinery.
Même il faudra qu'on paye ça va tout le salarié. Vous avez allowance. Tu 7e of December. No, come on, wait till you come pass our money. Come pass to the man. We have allowance. People fight to the after to the business. If you don't want to pay our money, maybe you go. We be bad. Yes! If you not say no,
Amnesty program is one of the key areas identified for the promotion of peace and stability in the Niger Delta region. Laudable as the program is, analysts say it has not really helped in solving the issues of hostility in the Niger Delta region. They are therefore calling on the government to address the issues of poverty, inequality, environmental degradation, which were the root cause of the conflict in the region.
Another aspect that must be addressed head-on is the struggle for the control of bunkering sites by militants. Through this struggle, the Niger Delta region was thrown into a theater of war because of the quest for the control of bunkering areas by the militia groups. A good example is Obele community in Emohua local government area of Rivers State, where militants and cultists fought harder over control of bunkering proceeds. Hence, the Nigerian army must be commended for the continuous onslaught against the illegal business. Many have also argued that even the elites hold major stake in the bunkering business. They also alluded the elites often engage the services of the militants for the purpose of safeguarding the vessels to the creeks, to the point of sale of the products in the high sea and ocean. The maritime environment is constantly polluted in the process of transloading of the products. The federal government, through the relevant security agencies, are called upon to increase the fight against illegal bunkering.
Whatever is happening in the Niger Delta is actually going to be a sabotage of the effort of people to make sure that Niger Delta is peaceful for meaningful development to strive.
I'm from Brass local government, precisely Cape Formosa, where the forward operational base is. The Nigerian forward operational base, which is the Nigerian Navy forward operational base, is situated. They call it a Wepa, also in their body we say Cape Formosa. Now, there's a place called Elepa in the Brass local government, and it's in my place. It's my place. That is where I'm from. Now, we have about 15 kilometers Owandu Tibudaba Brass trunk pipeline. And we also have what is Shell oil well, Elepa 1, Elepa 2, Elepa 3, Elepa 4, Elepa 5. Now the trunk pipeline, the surveillance job, they associate to somebody else. Now, bear with you, the presidential amnesty, the reasons of the amnesty that the leaders will be engaged in a running contract job. What is the running contract job? Is it not the surveillance? Captain Osa, other people were doing the job. And if this thing has come to the open, to the notice of everybody, become visible, why can't you do it and reach everybody? Now you associate to somebody else, far, to intimidate. Even when I go river, likely use the security man to tell me that I should not go this area, I should not go that this area, I say, I'm this kind of person, you don't expect me to just hear, to just keep to your own, neither go by what you are saying. Because I knew very well, my purpose of bringing a different policy, let me see his thoughts, let me see his strength. Let me empower this person to match him. Is the government not aware of those things? They should go and check the profile, check the process. Who and who they disarmed in 2009. We are not talking about supplementary, any other phase. The 2009, 2009, the first phase leaders, they should go and check the list that those people who came out and embraced amnesty.
When this whole Niger Delta agitation started, it was a peaceful agitation for the sole purpose of, bringing the attention of the federal government to the economic devastation, environmental degradation, and all other associated problems with oil exploration that the Niger Delta people were suffering. We have been making this known to the government, but government seemed not to take us serious. They were only interested in the crude oil. So the Niger Delta youths, the coming up of Mosend, IYC, the Joy Youth Council, after the Kayama Declaration, we changed the narrative to pipeline vandalization, because since the federal government is refusing to listen to what the people of the Niger Delta were saying as at then, we now said, let us stop the source. Maybe when they stop the source, it will now attract the federal government. And from all indications, it appears that formula was the formula that worked for the people, although it was a criminal in nature. I will not support anything that is evil or illegal, so to say. But it was only that means that we were able to attract the attention of government.
The children are dying, we can't fish. Look at how desolate the place is. No famine is taking place on the shores of the Kolo Creek.
An NPC source has it that Nigeria has 5,001 kilometers of petroleum pipelines. These crisscross crude oil depots nationwide. The 4 jetties at Okrika, Atlas Cave Jetty, Warri and Calabar, and the 4 refineries located at Warri, 2 in Port Harcourt and Kaduna. Pipeline vandalism, bombing of oil installations have remained a recurring decimal in the Niger Delta region, and all must be deployed to nip the scourge in the bud to save Nigeria from the losses of billions of dollars and thousands of liters of crude oil. When vandalism occurs, these waste and the suffering the environment endures causes devastating degradation and in turn takes away the people's agrarian lifestyle.